Here's something most founders don't realize until it's too late. You don't own your audience, you rent them. You can spend 10 years building millions of followers, but the algorithm decides who actually sees your content. And in 2025, that means you're building on borrowed land. So in this video, I want to talk about the shift we're living through from public platforms to private networks, from audiences you don't control to communities you do. We'll look at why trust has moved from institutions to individuals, why closed networks are the new distribution channels, why being number one isn't the safety net you think it is, and what it means to build a brand when the rules of reach have changed. Because the future isn't about who shouts the loudest, it's about who earns the right to be in the right room. But before we go into this, I want to ask for a small favor. If you like this episode and my work, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. You can also follow me on your favorite social media platform where I share how I'm building IP as a founder every step of the way. All right, let's dive in. People don't trust institutions, they trust individuals. Think about it. You're more likely to believe Elon Musk's X post than the Washington Post headline. You're more likely to take investment advice from a podcast host than from CNN. That's not because institutions disappeared, it's because trust migrated. We live in a post-truth media world. Deepfakes, misinformation, polarization, it all chipped away at institutional credibility. And into that vacuum stepped individuals, creators, founders, experts, and for brands, this means your faceless logo is not enough anymore. You need human voices. You need leaders, real people your audience can connect with. Look at Patagonia. Yes, it's a company, but the founder's voice and actions shaped the trust. And look at Nike. The trust isn't in the swoosh alone, it's in the athletes who wear it. This is why I always say in 2025, brands aren't built only on visuals, they're built on human IP. The voices, the faces, and the stories that carry trust. And where do these trusted voices live? Well, increasingly, not on billboards or on news feeds. They live inside private networks. If you're not in the group chat, you're not in the conversation. I'll give you an example. Some of my most trusted economic updates don't come from Bloomberg. They come from a private WhatsApp group of peers sharing notes in real time. That's the world we live in. Closed networks, WhatsApp, Discord, Circle, Telegram, Reddit communities, even tight-knit group chats are becoming the new mass media. Why? Because they feel different. The trust is you know the people inside. The speed is conversations happen in real time. And the relevance is every message feels tailored to you. For brands, this changes everything. Influence no longer spreads top down, it spreads sideways in micro networks. And most brands can't even see it happening. They're still posting into public feeds, shouting into the void, while the real conversations, the ones that drive decisions, happen behind closed doors. So the question becomes, how do you earn your way into these micro networks? Well, not by spamming, not by forcing your way in, by creating so much trust and so much value that people want to share you inside their private circles. And this is why memes work, why surprising product drops work, why founder-led storytelling works, because people don't just consume it, they forward it, they share it. That's the new distribution model. It's not how many followers you have, it's how many conversations you show up in. Followers aren't equity, they're rented attention. So here's the reality, and this is going to be unpopular. Social platforms reward novelty, not loyalty. It doesn't matter if you have 5,000 followers or 5 million followers. Only a fraction will see your content. You don't own your audience. You rent them from TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. And renting has rules. Platforms change algorithms whenever they want. They throttle reach, they decide if you grow or stall. That's why smart founders are shifting from rented channels to owned ones. Email lists, SMS, loyalty apps, private communities. I mean, look at Substack, look at Passes, look at creators building direct channels where they can reach people without an algorithm standing in the way. If you're not building direct relationships, you're building on borrowed land. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts for founders today. Stop measuring followers, start measuring ownership, because Owned distribution is the only safety net when the platforms move the goalposts. Now, here's the kicker. Even if you are number one on a platform, it's not the moat you think it is. Taking a small break from this video to talk to you about the Unmatched Collective. It's my private community for founders, brand leaders, and creators who want to build unmatched brands, not just for quick wins, but for the long term. Inside, I share the frameworks I've learned over my 20 years career at brands like Puma, Disney, and Warner Bros., and through building my own company. We dive into real case studies, live sessions, and the kind of founder-to-founder conversations you can't get on social media. So if you're serious about building a brand that lasts with clarity, purpose, and the right mindset, the link is below. Now let's get back to the video. Too many brands treat being market leader as if it's permanent. Newsflash, it's not. Markets move, cultures shift, competitors catch up. My favorite example here is BlackBerry. Once the ultimate status symbol in every CEO's pocket. Where are they now? Well, gone. Or think of MySpace. Being number one meant nothing when Facebook came along. Being number one today doesn't protect you tomorrow. What protects you is your ability to surprise, adapt, and reinvent before you're forced to. And this is why I respect brands like Louis Vuitton. They transform on the way up. They don't just wait until they plateau. So don't fall in love with the number one spot. Fall in love with the ability to stay relevant. That's the real moat. And that relevance is shaped not just by product and culture, but by the structure you build your brand on. Which brings us to a different kind of distribution decision, public versus private. Now, here's something you don't hear often. Going public isn't the only way to scale anymore. Private markets have changed. Semi-liquid secondary markets mean early investors can get liquidity without an IPO. Companies like SpaceX and Stripe have been private for years and still scaled globally. So going public isn't the single badge of legitimacy it used to be. Public or private, it's not about the status, it's about the structure. Public companies benefit from governance, discipline, outside shareholders, but they also move slower under constant quarterly pressure. Private companies can move fast, stay flexible, and avoid scrutiny. And they also rely on tighter networks of trust and capital. So the real question isn't, should I go public? It's, what structure gives me the best chance to scale without losing the soul of the brand? And once again, the answer ties back to distribution. Are you building a brand to impress Wall Street, or are you building one people forward in their group chats? So let's pull it all together. You don't own your audience, you run them. Trust has shifted from institutions to individuals. Distribution has shifted from public platforms to private networks. Being number one isn't a moat, reinvention is. Public versus private isn't about prestige, it's about alignment with your mission. The future of distribution is not about reach, it's about relevance. And here's the mindset shift I want you to walk away with. Don't measure your brand by how many people follow you. Measure it by how many people would invite you into the room, into that group chat, the private network, the closed community, because that's where trust actually lives. That's where influence spreads, and that's the future of brand distribution.